Hi guys, C-Mag here. We're back in VTOL VR. My last video on the ILS landings in low to no light situations did pretty well, so we're back for another period of instruction. Today we're going to be talking about aerial refueling. Going to go over the two different methods I like to use for this, and talk about some of the ways pilots get into trouble during aerial refueling operations. If you struggle with aerial refueling in VTOL VR, well, congratulations. You're among the 95% of pilots who find this task to be incredibly difficult. In fact, I'd wager that aerial refueling is probably, in a lot of ways, more difficult than carrier landings for some people. I know we did touch on carrier landings in the GAF system video, but that was honestly more of a love letter to 1950s naval aviation training videos than a proper period of instruction. So let me know down in the comments if carrier landings is something you'd like me to revisit. Go back and do a proper video on that. But I'm getting sidetracked. We need to stay on task. So when it comes to aerial refueling, confidence comes from two things: knowledge and repetition. The knowledge I can give you today, but the repetition is something you've got to go out there and do on your own. Take the knowledge you gain today and apply it over and over again, and you'll get the hang of it. Just something that comes with a lot of time and practice. It's not something you're going to be instantly good at overnight, but hopefully the information I give you will put you on the right track to improving your skills and becoming better at it. But we could talk about this all day. It'd be easier if I just showed you guys. So now we're going to approach the tanker. I'm going to show you the two different methods I like to use for aerial refueling, and then talk about some of the ways pilots get into trouble when they're attempting to do it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and approach the tanker. First and foremost, we got to get our fuel port open. Without that, we're not getting any fuel. Also, because I like to learn under pressure, we don't have a whole lot of fuel, so we got to get up there and get refueled relatively quickly. Wager we've only got about 10-15 minutes of fuel left. No pressure though. The approach is very important. This is the first area pilots get into trouble when they're trying to do the aerial refueling. You got to take it slow and steady. No need to rush. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Don't think you can just charge the tanker, slam on the air brakes, and slot in behind him in perfect position and get your fuel. You got a nice, easy, measured approach. Smooth control inputs. Much better to take your time and approach slowly. That way you can get a real feel for the speed that the tanker's doing. It makes it much easier to match him. Really, the margins pretty small when it comes to the speed. You want to be within about 2 knots plus or minus to what he's doing. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time lining this up. Let's see. If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably doing about 330 knots. So we're just going to approach nice and slowly and try to match his speed. So one of the reasons that aerial refueling is so incredibly difficult is because we're having to manage all 3 different axes at the same time. That's your roll, your pitch, and your throttle. It turns out that trying to stay stable on 3 axes in 3D space is a lot for the mind to handle, especially if you're not used to it and you're a new pilot. So you're really going to be using all your mental horsepower for this. See, the absolute best advice I can give for mid-air refueling is nice, slow, smooth control inputs. Another area pilots will get into big trouble doing this is, and it's a dirty word in aviation, it's called PO, or pilot-induced oscillations. Now, just as an example, I'm gonna get up here a little bit closer and I'll show you what I mean. See, right now we're nice and stable, we're nice and lined up, our speed's looking okay. Let's say you start drifting off target a little bit, and you notice it, so you get on the controls to adjust. But there's a little bit of a delay between your input and the aircraft actually moving. So you don't realize it, but you've overshot. So then you correct and go back the other way. The same thing happens. You input too much. So then you correct again. And this time it's even worse. And you correct again. Same thing, except now our adjustments are stacking in amplitude, and pretty quickly we're way out of control. And we're weaving up and down and back and forth like a roller coaster, just trying to get it back under control. And at that point, you might as well just fall back and realign and try it again. You're literally starting an oscillation that just spirals out of control. That's why nice, stable control inputs are vital when it comes to aerial refueling. So on this particular mission, he's continuously doing a left-hand bank, which I find to be a little bit more difficult. There was another refueling mission I did where he would do like laps like on a NASCAR track where there were long straightaways and then he'd do a sharp turn, which personally I find it a lot easier if he's in level flight to do this, because at a slight bank angle you're kind of doing two axes at the same time. You're doing kind of roll and pitch cumulatively together to try to stay aligned with him. And that can be a little bit more tricky than level flight, but you know, you got to train like you fight. Who knows what he's going to be doing out there on the missions. So it's just good training. Another piece of advice, it's better to approach from down low than up high. The boom can come down quite a ways. The boom operator's pretty skilled. He'll do a good job getting it stuck in there. Just help him out by staying kind of nice and low. Plus it's safer to break off by diving than, you know, pulling up, because if you pull up, you're pulling up into the tanker. And that's never a good thing. All right, yep. Looks like 132 knots is his speed. So now we'll just go 1 to 2 ticks only up and down on the throttle. No more than that. We'll keep our attitude indicator as much as we can right on the boom. And then just up and down on the throttle just ever so slightly. There's another tricky area for new pilots. If you remember, jet engines don't deliver power instantaneously. It takes a little bit for the turbine to spool up, which can lead to some overblown throttle inputs, because it takes a second or two for the acceleration to kick in. So you can really get out of control with your throttle quickly. You got to remember, it takes a second to slow down and it takes a second to speed up. You don't need huge throttle inputs to stay steady with this guy. Just 1 tick up, 1 tick down, 1 more tick down. Now we're getting into range. Here we go. 1 more tick down. Boom.
Contact.
1 more tick down.
Right there.
1 tick up, 2 ticks up. You want to keep the green part of the pipe as close to the center of that tube there as possible. See, now we're falling back a little bit too much. Steady. Whatever you do, don't slam on the air brakes. It's going to cause all sorts of problems. Nice, smooth throttle inputs is all you need. And don't even look at your speed. Just watch the boom. Here we go. See, nice and gentle. And that's all it takes. Halfway there. Just a little more and we've got it done. This is pretty good for me. I've almost got it all in one shot. Usually I have to come in once or twice. This is incredibly hard to do. If it takes you 3 or 4 times to fuel up, don't feel bad. You are in the majority of people. This is, like I said, very challenging. And there you have it.
Refuel complete.
Break off and you're good to go. Yeehaw. Do a barrel roll. Don't do a barrel roll. That's very dangerous. You shouldn't be doing that. All right, now I'm going to reset. Okay, now I've reset, and I'm going to show you guys the second and easier method that I like to use for aerial refueling. This is a method I like to call assisted refueling. What we're going to be doing is using the aircraft's autopilot systems to assist us. We're going to use 1 or more of these systems to lighten our workload and put some of that workload on the plane itself. So we only have to focus on 1 or 2 of the axes instead of all 3. This is a great tool for new pilots to learn how to do this, so you're not having to deal with so much at once. It can be very overwhelming. So what we're going to be doing is using our altitude hold and our speed hold to help us in this endeavor. Even if he was in level flight, you wouldn't be able to use heading hold. You would have to be 100% perfectly on the same heading as him, and even if you were, you're still going to drift a little bit. In all the testing I've done, heading hold doesn't work at all, even if he's in level flight. So the only two we can use is altitude hold and speed hold. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit the speed hold just so I can get lined up for this. So, now, I'm going to match the speed with him just for now. So we'll do speed 330. Actually, I think that might be a little bit slow. I think he's doing 331, 332. But yeah, okay, so we're close to his altitude. Let's see, let's look at our... So he's like 11,225 probably. Maybe 11,250. So we hit altitude 11. We'll start with 11,250. We can always adjust as we go. But for whatever reason, it looks like it's not wanting to hold at that particular altitude. Here, let's go level and see if it... No, it's not rising up. Huh. That's a little strange. Let's try this again. Let's do 11,500 and see if it pops up. Okay, so something funny's going on. Let's try 11,300. But that's probably going to be too high. Yeah, see, we're in level flight with him now. Shoot, this might not work. I wonder if it's a bug, or if it only goes in increments of 50 feet. But we're not even holding at 11.3. It's dipping us down. Yeah, we're up too high. The boom won't even connect at this altitude, I don't think. Right. How about 11,250? Yeah, see, it wants to drop down. Well, this is new to me. This method might not work anymore. Oh, maybe. We might be in range. See, once we've used the speed and altitude hold, we've really lightened our workload. Now all we have to worry about is our roll axis. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed up to 333 knots, and that should allow us to close in with him, albeit very slowly. Maybe I'll bump it up a little bit. Let's do 335. And as we get closer, you just simply adjust your speed hold as you approach the boom. Usually when his lights come on, I'd say adjust it back down to match his speed. Probably about 332 knots. Again, nice, slow, steady control inputs. Nothing too crazy. Slowly bring her back the other way. Really is like performing surgery. And again, you might be tempted to increase your speed by 5 knots or so, but patience is key when it comes to air refueling. He's got his lights on, so we're getting close now. And the boom is coming down. We may be too low. Yeah. 332. Ah, we're slow. 333. And as it turns out, when the autopilot's on, you can put a little bit of backwards pressure on the stick to bring the nose up just slightly. And that should, in theory, get us within range of the boom. Oh, man. I'm going to drop the speed. 332. We're just creeping up on this guy. I think the altitude hold is actually fighting me, and that's what's going on with this weird sort of gentle oscillation. So I put a little pressure on the stick, and then it wants to pull me back to the right. But if we don't do that, we're not going to be up high enough to connect with the boom. Here we go. Okay. It's coming together.
Contact. Hold it right there.
Yeah, not too bad. See, this is much easier than doing it manually. But I think our speed's a little off. We're moving closer. Oop. It is still difficult, don't get me wrong, but this is a nice, easy way for new pilots to learn without being overwhelmed by too much to manage. This is much more manageable. Makes it look easy, doesn't it?
Autopilot disengaged.
So there you have it. A quick little tutorial on aerial refueling. I hope this information gave you guys a good starting point and some advice to make aerial refueling just a little bit easier for you. Now you got to get up there and put what you've learned to good use and practice. It's going to take a lot of trial and error and a lot of repetition, but you will get better eventually. Hope this video makes it so you have to suffer just a little bit less in the process. If you have any questions or you come up with something I didn't cover in the video, let me know down in the comments, and I'd be glad to answer and give you guys any advice you'd be looking for. And if you enjoyed this video, stick around because we got a lot more VTOL VR content coming up. Some more training videos. And if you have an idea for a training video or something you want to learn about or you want me to cover on the channel, just let me know and we can make that a possibility. Best way you can help support the channel is by leaving a like, a comment, and especially subscribing. It helps grow this thing and bring some more people into our little community of gamers and VR aviation enthusiasts. As always, thank you guys so much for spending your time with me, and I hope to see you all up there in that wild blue yonder. C-Mag out. The intrusive thoughts are saying pull the ejection seat handle, but I'm not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We aren't gonna. We did it. We did it. Hey, it doesn't need me to fly. Look, it's flying fine on its own. It's crashing. Nope. It's crashing.